Hey everyone. Yeah, I don't know what happened with my previous recording. I don't know if it just got deleted or something happened, but I'm here to give you my predictions for the 2017 Royal Rumble match itself. And, to look at this as the 30th anniversary of the Royal Rumble, I have to say is unique. It's hard to believe we've done 30 Rumble. They've gone to the 30th Rumble, but I expect this hopefully to live up to the hype. I expect this to be the best Royal Rumble event they can have, especially if they're having it at the Alamo Dome 20 years after they had it there last time. And I expect it to hopefully live up to its hype. But then again, there are some people that kind of believe that it's not going to, because even though you have a very star-studded, stacked Royal Rumble match, it could also disappoint. And the only saving grace might be some of the matches. Now, we also know there are pre-show matches as well. So without further ado, let's get into some of the matches that are going to occur at the Royal Rumble. First of all, let's take a look at the pre-show. You have Nia Jax versus Sasha Banks. Now, this could be the best opportunity for Sasha to get her redemption, which would make sense. But I would expect WWE to have Nia Jax go over. Here's why. One, whether you agree with this or not, Sasha Banks in the eyes of WWE and mostly Vince McMahon is looked at as probably more valuable in their eyes than even Bayley and Charlotte. Yes, Charlotte is a 4-time champion, but they're only doing that so that she matches her father's record, or at least ends up in the same category as being the most dominant women's champion in WWE by having the most reigns as champion. But besides that, they look at her they don't look at her on the same level as they do Sasha. And to me, I believe they're going to have Nia Jax go over Sasha, and thus it's even on the pre-show be the biggest win of her career, because they still want to continuously build Nia Jax. They still want to continuously build Nia Jax as a monster heel in the Raw women's division, because eventually, if she doesn't end up on SmackDown at the end of the year via the inevitable draft lottery, then I expect Nia Jax to be the Raw women's champion before we get to the summer. I expect that. I expect her to be the Raw women's champion before we hit summer this year. In fact, I expect it to happen maybe at SummerSlam, despite rumors are going around, because rumors are going around it's going to be Sasha and Bayley. Well, I expect things to change, and I expect Sasha to not be a factor in that. I expect Sasha to end up in a feud against Charlotte, which would be maybe for the number one contendership, and then you could do a match like this at the Night of Champions event for Raw the following month. So I expect Nia Jax, though, like I said, to go over Sasha, so they continuously build up this storyline between them, but as well continuously build up Nia Jax as this monster in the women's division that can't be stopped. Now, you might say that's not going to happen because they value Sasha too much. That's true. It's kind of tossed up in the air, but I expect the championship. But I expect for one night, even if it's for the pre-show, for Nia to go over Sasha, because if she goes over Sasha in the pre-show, it's not going to hurt Sasha as much as it would if it was on pay-per-view. So I expect Nia Jax to go over, and I think that's what's going to happen. Then you have the 2 out of 3 Falls Raw Tag Team Championship match with Sheamus and Cesaro going up against the Club, the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, with two referees. One of them probably going to be the referee that's been in question lately about his decision making. And I expect this match to go to a third fall. I expect this to be the match of the pre-show, of the 2-hour pre-show. I expect this to be the match that gets people hyped and ready for the Rumble. And I expect Sheamus and Cesaro to retain. Here's why. Eventually, they are going to get the belts on Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. This is going to be the year. See, last year was to see how effective they could be as a tag team in the WWE, to see if maybe they were able to wash away any of that tag team stench that they had. So I expect them I expect them to become the tag team champions, just not on the Rumble pre-show. I expect the referee in question to probably be revealed as being in cahoots with them, which would be a good idea in my opinion, because we all know you want to get more heat on a duo or a group like the Club, the Good Brothers, like Anderson and Gallows, and maybe even Styles. You want to have them you want to incorporate their own referee into the equation. So to me, I think the referee in question is going to be revealed as being in cahoots with them, and I expect Sheamus and Cesaro to retain. But don't be surprised if maybe the next night on Raw, you get new tag team champions in Gallows and Anderson, or you get that title change at the Raw pay-per-view Fastlane, or even at WrestleMania in a multi-team match, I should say. So expect Gallows and Anderson to become the tag team champions, just not on the Rumble pre-show. I expect Sheamus and Cesaro to still walk out tag team champions. Now that we got the pre-show matches out of the way, let's talk about the actual show itself, the Royal Rumble event itself. And let's talk about the first matchup on the card. Hold on. Like I said, now we kick off the. Now let's start with the match, like I was saying. Let's start off our predictions on the official event itself with the first match of the night. With the first match that I think is going to kick it off, and that's the Cruiserweight title match between Neville and Rich Swann. Now, I expect if they do give these guys the time that is needed, since it's supposed to be a 4-hour show, I expect these guys to have a good matchup, and I expect Neville walking out as the Cruiserweight champion and playing up the angle that he's going to use his reign as Cruiserweight champion and King of the Cruiserweights to obliterate it. In other words, he's going to use his reign as Cruiserweight champion, that being Neville, to slowly destroy the Cruiserweight division, or at least rid it of the so-called no names, the ones that don't belong in the same league as he does. So I expect Neville to walk out with the championship. I know some of you might think that's not going to happen. You're going to say Rich Swann's going to get his redemption, his revenge. That's not going to, that might happen, but I don't think that's the direction WWE is going to go. I believe it's going to be Neville they're going to have become champion. And I believe that the time that Neville does lose the belt will be in a multi-man Cruiserweight title defense at WrestleMania. That's when I expect him to do it. That's when I expect Neville to lose the championship at WrestleMania. That's when I expect it to happen. Will be at WrestleMania. It won't be at Fastlane. It'll be at Mania. Believe me, that's when it's going to occur. So I predict Neville is going to go over Rich Swann in this matchup. Then we get the Raw Women's Championship match between Bayley and Charlotte. And this match, I believe, is going to be one of the best matches of the night if they let these women go like they've been doing. I believe these two are going to bring it to the table. I believe these women are going to try to steal the show and set the bar for whatever women matches that follow on either both brands. So I expect these women to go out there and just lay it all on the line. It may not be the match of the night, but I expect it to be in the top tier of them. And as much as this may hurt a lot of Bayley fans, I expect Charlotte to retain. Now, that doesn't mean Charlotte has to cause Bayley to submit or pin Bayley, either cleanly or via distraction. I expect Charlotte to retain by getting herself disqualified or counted out. Thus, her streak would end, her pay-per-view win streak would end, but she would still be champion. It's like, basically, her pay-per-view streak, I think they're going to play up the fact that, her pay-per-view winning streak is nothing compared to her being the champion, and that she'll do anything, sacrifice anything to keep it. So I expect Bayley to win, just not win the championship. So, but throughout that though, I expect these ladies to go out there and kill it, give it their all, and thus set up the inevitable rematch at Fastlane, which would probably end up in the same result. But I also expect it to start building up to what is being rumored as a fatal four-way match between Charlotte, Bayley, Sasha, and Nia at WrestleMania. So, like I said, expect Charlotte to retain, but expect her winning streak to probably come to an end via disqualification or countout. So, that's why I think they're going to go with that matchup. And then speaking of women, we have the SmackDown ladies. We have a 6-woman tag team match. Now, this could be regulated. This could be demoted to the pre-show, but I expect it's going to be on the main show because there's no sign of it being on the pre-show. But we have the team of Nikki Bella, Becky Lynch, and Naomi going up against Mickie James, Alexa Bliss, and Natalya. Now this, I think, is going to be a good matchup. I know some people are getting sick and tired of these 6 women tag team matches between essentially the only three, essentially almost the entire women's division here. Because when you think about it, the only other lady not involved is Carmella. So, I expect these ladies to have a good matchup though, despite it's a constant repertoire of the same kind of match. The only difference that you might say gives it a little leeway is you have Mickie James involved for the first time in a main roster matchup on a pay-per-view. So that makes it very intriguing. I do expect the faces to go over, because even though you brought Mickie back and you're trying to build her up again, I expect the faces to go over, and I expect this to be a prelude of what we're going to get 2 weeks later. Because if you think the Elimination Chamber SmackDown event is only going to be headlined by one chamber match, you out of your mind. Because I think, just like they did on SmackDown, they're going to want to make history again. Because, of course, SmackDown's not going to want to be outdone by Raw. Expect the announcement after the Rumble. After the Rumble of not one, but 2 Elimination Chamber matches. One being for the WWE Championship, and one being for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So, this 6-woman tag is going to be a setup to that. So, expect that to happen. But I expect the faces to go over, thus building momentum to that inevitable, I believe, SmackDown Women's Elimination Chamber match 2 weeks later, to where I believe Mickie James either Mickie James or Natalya is going to end up walking out with the SmackDown Women's Championship. Because when you think about it, this whole Natalya and Nikki feud, it's not really about Nikki being the most popular or getting the most fame and all that. It's basically Natalya's way of trying to get back in the title picture, and that's what this is going to lead to. So I expect the faces to go over the heels, and that's going to build up to eventually a SmackDown Women's Elimination Chamber match at the Elimination Chamber event. Then we have the WWE Universal Championship match. We have Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, Chris Jericho suspended high in a shark cage. And what's unique about this, and confusing to some, is that it's a no disqualification match. Now you might say, well, that means Kevin Owens is going to win. Probably. But then again, it may not mean that. You know, the rumor going around is they want to build dissension between Owens and Jericho. So what better way for the dissension to really start, if you will, than for Jericho to cost Owens the matchup here against Reigns. Something could, because Jericho's going to try to get out of the cage, or he's going to try to throw something down to aid Reigns in the matchup. But Jericho's going to try to get involved somehow, and I expect the involvement to backfire, and I expect Reigns to walk out as champion. Because let's be honest, Kevin Owens is killing it as Universal Champion. Let's not get ourselves wrong. But look at it from the mindset of Vince McMahon. Do you want an indie guy like Kevin Steen, aka Kevin Owens, to be your Raw headliner, being your Raw headline, or your Raw main event for WrestleMania, or your actual main event for WrestleMania, or you know what I'm saying, your Raw main event for Mania? Do you think you honestly want Owens to be the representative? No. Because if rumors are going around that you got Goldberg against Lesnar for a championship, yeah, that means Owens is going to win, but that could also mean that the next night, or at Fastlane, he loses it to someone like Goldberg, or even Lesnar. You can expect that to happen. But with that said, I don't expect Owens to walk out here. The thing is, I don't expect, like everybody, I don't expect Owens to walk in WrestleMania as the champion. But do I expect him to walk into maybe Fastlane or the Raw the night after the Rumble as champion? Possibly. So that's why I believe this match is unpredictable. It's a toss-up. They want to put Reigns back on top, but then again, they want to have something, more prestigious, to add to the Goldberg-Lesnar match at Mania. So I don't really know. We'll have to wait and see. But again, it's a toss-up. It's unpredictable. But then, speaking of championship matches, we get to probably what's going to be the headline championship match before the Rumble, and that is AJ Styles and John Cena. Now, a lot of people, again, this could be a toss-up and be unpredictable, because you got the WWE Championship on the line in the Elimination Chamber 2 weeks later. Now, you're thinking to yourself, there's no way they're going to have AJ Styles lose the championship at the Rumble if he's got to go in and defend in the Elimination Chamber. That's true. But with reports and rumors going around that it may not even be John Cena that walks into the WrestleMania as champion, but Bray Wyatt, I could expect John Cena to at least become a 16-time world champion for at least 2 weeks. Have a 2-week reign as a 16-time world champion, and then probably lose it in the chamber, not to Bray himself, but by being eliminated by someone like AJ. That's what I expect to happen. So, but again, plans could change. And again, these, situations, these plans and everything. They're just rumors. They're not set in stone. They're just going by. The WWE essentially is just going day by day, minute by minute. You know, it's like it could be like right now they could be set on Bray and Randy at WrestleMania for the championship, but then again, the next hour they could say, no, let's go with Cena and somebody else, and I'll speak about who that somebody else could be in a moment. But overall, I think it's inevitable that John Cena's walking out of the Royal Rumble. It's too big of an event. It's the 30th anniversary. It's in the Alamo Dome. I expect him to walk out as the champion. Thus, he finally gets his redemption over AJ Styles and shows that he can beat AJ Styles in a one-on-one match cleanly. Then we get to the Royal Rumble match itself. It is 30 men over the top rope. Winner main events against the champion of the brand. Maybe they'll toss in the champion of the choosing, depending on who wins at WrestleMania. And this is basically like, you're going to get some surprises and debuts. You got Taker in there, you got Brock in there, you got Lesnar in there. You could have one of the former champions. You could have one of the losers, I hate to say that, of the championship matches, if not both losers of the championship match, enter as well, thus trying to guarantee them not one but two opportunities to become champion again. You basically got an all-star here, an all-star game. Now, there's a lot of people tossing around, reports and news and reports are tossing around that you could have Taker win it. You could have Randy Orton win it. You could have the guy I talked about earlier that Cena could face at Mania, that they're projecting to face at Mania, Samoa Joe, to win it. It's just a lot of unpredictabilities. It's a lot of unpredictabilities. It's like, that's what the Rumble is. You don't know who's going to win. Who's going to win, but I expect this to happen. I expect Lesnar and Goldberg to be entered into the Rumble midway through. I don't expect any later numbers for them. I expect them to enter midway through to the event and essentially probably fight each other to the point that either somebody sneaks up from behind them and eliminates them, or they end up eliminating each other. So I would expect between numbers 15 and 20 for them to show up, for both of them to show up. Now, who wins this match? Well, I have a feeling Taker's going to get a later number because, he's older, WWE, they value him way too much to put him in all the way through, so I expect Taker to at least be around maybe 25 or something like that, entry 25, but I don't expect him to be any later than that. Like I said, I don't expect him to be any later than that. But again, it's a toss-up of who's going to walk out as the winner. But if I was to choose 5 guys, and I'm going to say this before I have to go back and clock in. If I had to choose 5 guys, I would say those 5 guys are. These are the top 5 I project to win the Rumble. Okay? Top 5. Baron Corbin. Okay? I project him. Braun Strowman. No doubt. I project, because it's being rumored that it could happen, Randy Orton. I project that to happen. Samoa Joe, which would be historic because he's making his main roster debut and Royal Rumble debut, and would be historic for the fact that in his debut he wins it. And then Undertaker. So those are the top 5 I would project to see. I would I'm projecting be the top 5 choices for WWE to go with in winning, and who they want to win the Royal Rumble. Because reports are all centering around those names. Those names are being talked about, rumored, and everything, not just on WWE television, but all over. So I expect those top 5 to be the 5 choices WWE goes with. And if I was to go with a final 4, as much as I hate to say this, I'm taking Strowman out of the equation. That's right, I'm taking Strowman out of the equation, and I expect it to come down to Corbin, Joe, Taker, and Orton. That's what I project. And then if you want to go final 2, I go with Joe and Orton. That's what I think's that's what I project WWE's gonna try to head towards. But it's gonna be head towards, and I feel that could be the final 4 and the final 2 out of those 5. But again, I think those are the 5 names that WWE is going to center around to who they want to choose to win the Royal Rumble. So that's really how I see it. That's really how I see it. So anyways, those are my WWE, that is my 2017 WWE Royal Rumble predictions. Let me know what you guys think about them down below. Comment if you like. Check out the wrestling predictions by Wrestling with Regret and maybe by Deluxe Man. Check those out as well. But those are my predictions. Let me know what you think. What do you think of them? Who do you think is going to be the final 5 or the top 5 choices for WWE to choose out of to win the Rumble? And that's all I have to say. Let me know what you guys think down below. Who do you think is going to win the Rumble? Again, who do you think is going to be the top 5 that WWE choose out of? Who do you think will be the final 4? And who do you think is going to be the final 2? Let me know down below. Comment if you like. And I will talk to y'all later.